$1.44 billion disbursed to heat up the frozen real estate market. Let's discuss the untapped potentials of Vietnam tourism with an expert in the field. And our first market makers features a success story of a Swedish entrepreneur with 20 years of business in Vietnam. Welcome to the first episode of BIZLINE VTV4's brand new magazine on economics and business. I'm your host Linh Hương. In our weekly program, we'll offer you the latest updates and in-depth discussions of current business issues, as well as explore the world of market makers in Vietnam. First, let me take you through the highlights of last week. And now let's start some highlights of last week with a review on the stock market. The week opened with a slight rise for Ho Chi Minh City's VN Index and Hanoi's HNX Index in light of the decline in interest rate. Tuesday's stocks could not retain Monday's gains and tumbled on both national exchanges. On Wednesday, shares gained value following the news that a $1.44 billion credit package had been approved for the real estate sector. The rise continued on Thursday with the HNX Index climbing to a one-month high. On Friday, the VN Index decreased by 2.74 points, closing at 487.6 points. Market value reached almost $41 million after about 50 million shares were exchanged. Meanwhile, the HNX Index closed at 60.45 points, down 0.49 points. Trading value reached $8.3 million, with nearly 22 million shares changing hands. The State Bank of Vietnam and the Ministry of Construction on Wednesday signed a circular on a $1.44 billion loans package for social housing. The loans will benefit leasers and buyers of social housing, buyers of commercial houses priced under $720, as well as developers of social housing projects. The terms of these loans are 10 years for house buyers and 5 years for developers. The interest rate applied for the loans this year is 6% and fixed at half of the average lending rate of commercial banks in the following years. The decree will be effective starting June the 1st. The State Bank of Vietnam has slashed the interest rate for short-term loans by 1 percentage point to 10%. The new regulation comes into effect on Monday and applies to 5 prioritized sectors. The decision follows last week's cut of several key interest rates. It's hoped that these moves will encourage commercial banks to lower their rates, thereby helping enterprises access loans, boost production, and ease their inventories. In the first 4 months of this year, inflation has slowed down while liquidity of banks has improved. However, production and consumption have been subpar. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng embarked on official visits to Russia and Belarus last week, resulting in a number of high-value business deals. In detail, state-run Petro Vietnam side deals with 3 different oil and gas projects with Gazprom OAO, Gazprom Neft, and Zarosneft. The agreement sees stronger cooperation in petrochemical exploration and drilling. Meanwhile, Vietnam and Belarus concluded 10 commercial contracts worth over $100 million. During the visits, the Vietnamese Prime Minister and his counterparts also discussed details of the future free trade agreement among Customs Union of Belarus, Russia, Kazakhstan, and Vietnam. A high-level meeting on the East-West Economic Corridor took place on Thursday in Savannakhet province in Laos. The deputy foreign ministers of Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, and Myanmar attended the event, which aims to promote development and integration of the 4 Southeast Asian countries. The meeting reviews the progress in building infrastructure along the corridor. Notably, plans were made to expand the highway network connecting the member countries and set up one-stop-shop border posts for simpler border crossing. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng has given the green light to a $27 billion oil refinery project to be invested by the Petroleum Authority of Thailand, or PTT, in BIZLINE province. The Thai financial group has decided to invest in Nhơn Hội Economic Zone because of its good infrastructure, low-cost labor force, and lowest land rental in the region. Construction on the project is expected to begin in 2016, and commercial products will be available in mid-2020. The refinery is designed to have an annual capacity of 30 million tons. Crosstalk is up next, when we'll discuss how Vietnam tourism potentials remain untapped. Stay with us. Welcome to our first Crosstalk on BIZLINE. In this section, you'll listen to experts talking about a particular economic issue. We'll challenge our guest speaker with different questions so that we can then have a broad and profound understanding of the issue from multiple perspectives. Crosstalk this week focuses on Vietnam's tourism, particularly the challenges that this industry has been facing and the efforts to deal with those obstacles by tourism companies. Our guest speaker today is Mr. Kai Marcus Schroeder. He is a general director of HTM Management Consultancy. He also served as Vice Chairman of the Tourism and Hospitality Sector Committee under Eurocharm. And he's here in our studio today to share his insights into Vietnam's tourism. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
Good morning, thank you.
And before we start, let's take a closer look at the current situation of Vietnam's tourism sector in the following report.
Long coastlines, forests and mountains with numerous magnificent landscapes, combined with a rich history and distinctive culture, featuring ancient architecture and legends, hold great potential for Vietnam's tourism industry. Despite the economic downturn, tourism in Vietnam has been growing for the past 3 years. 2012 wrapped up with more than 6.8 million international visitors, an increase of 13.8% compared to the previous year. Revenue rose by 23% to around $7 billion in 2012. This result, in the context of the economic downturn, exceeded the expectations of the National Administration of Tourism. However, industry insiders are still skeptical about the development of the non-smoke sector of the economy.
We can say that Vietnam's tourism is under development. It is still in the early phase and is experiencing spontaneity. But we believe that tourism will play a key role for the whole economy in the future.
At the first Vietnam International Travel Mart that took place in Hanoi in April this year, tourism experts and businesses pointed out 4 main challenges facing the industry: the limited infrastructure and qualified human resources, and the lack of product diversity and capital to promote Vietnam on the international market. They also stressed that if these challenges are not tackled, Vietnam could lose out to competition from neighboring countries.
So the report shows the great potentials of Vietnam tourism. And as a foreign expert working in the field, what's your take on this? Which sectors have the greatest potential?
Vietnam is promoting its beaches as beach destinations. So we have here talking about, we have to look at different markets when we say potential, yes? And when we say beach, we are attracting countries, obviously, who do not have beaches, who do not have the nice weather. So we have Western Europeans, Eastern Europeans, in general, overseas clients who have winter climate.
Can you name some of the cities and provinces that have done very well in tourism?
I would point out Da Nang and Hoi An. Even the heritage, what I call the heritage coast, the heritage line, the heritage road, they're physically not far from each other. They have an international airport, they have good access. So it's relatively the ease of travel, the ease of access. That's what they've done right. They have invested in infrastructure. You have this combination of interesting products which makes it worthwhile to stay 2 weeks there. Even you might not be visiting the north or the south, but it makes it worthwhile. You have this culture heritage, this imperial city of Hue. You have this more industrial town of city of Da Nang, but you got these nice beaches, fantastic resorts there. And then even further down, you go to Hoi An. So you have there a cultural aspect, this World Heritage Site, this walking around this old city. And if you maintain that, you have a great combination of a product. Tourists come in and out, and they leave rather quick if they do not have a value chain of tourism products. And that starts with the access, with the infrastructure, but also with the product on offer, with the tours, with the package, with the restaurants, with the hotels, with the souvenirs shops. Even.
Definitely. There needs to be a holistic approach to look at a particular city. So we have talked very specifically about cities and provinces in Vietnam. And now let's take a look at Vietnam in comparison with other countries like Thailand and Malaysia. In the recent Travel and Tourism Competitive Index, Vietnam ranked the 80th among 140 countries in the world, while Thailand's number 43rd and Malaysia is 34th. Quite a big gap between Vietnam and these other two neighboring countries. How do you explain this?
What we have right now in Vietnam is that we're looking at the success, and there's a success. There's a growing numbers of tourists here, and there's a development, and we see the booming. But as a tourism expert, I do not look only on growth. I look on quality as well. I do not look on quantity. Well, what I believe Vietnam needs to have, what I call a strong nation brand. This is still largely not really understand the value of developing a nation brand. Malaysia started with this Malaysia Truly Asia. This is the twinkle which is in the sound of the music and the video, and for many months very strongly promoted around the world to create an image of a very diverse destination, multicultural, Muslim, Christians, Indian, Chinese heritage, living under in one nation, but also a diversity in experiences, shopping, Kuala Lumpur, these Petronas towers, but then after they have implemented this nation branding, they started to diversify. If you see now the brand of Malaysia and what you see in the spots in TV is different than it was 3 years ago. It was Malaysia Truly Asia, but in the meantime now they have diversified. They show more about diving, they show more about fishing, they show more about rainforest and different sub-branding, sub-products. But you wouldn't put that in the beginning. You have to put the general image of Malaysia as a destination first and involve all the different stakeholders and then packaging products. I would like Vietnam to be able to define its absolutely strength, its personality of the country, what do people expect, what do people feel when they think about Vietnam, and you need to polish that and you need to highlight that.
When you say you, what do you mean exactly you here? You mean the government or the enterprises or the people? Everybody.
Tourism is a sector which is counting on the cooperation between different departments, different authorities. It is infrastructure, it is the legal department, it is a tourism department, but it can't be the tourism department alone. They cannot solve these problems.
Interconnectedness.
Interconnected, exactly. There is a lack of communication and coordination between central level and provincial level. That's for the authority part, for the government part. But again, also on the private public sector dialogue. This is what I termed in Vietnam a little bit the tango effect. Yes, it's a 3 steps forwards, 2 steps back. Many people ask me why I say so. Well, I would like to clarify that. I didn't mean it particularly for the tourism only. It is something where there needs to be definitely a private-public dialogue before we put something into shape, into decrease and informs. We need to really, is it viable, is it working, is it sustainable? And there are unfortunately recently some examples where we have made some constructive remarks where we are critical and where we wonder if the recent initiatives taken are sustainable and are in line with what actually Vietnam wants for the Vietnamese tourism.
It's a very interesting metaphor, and it actually reminds me of another metaphor about Vietnam's tourism, because some people compare the tourism right here in Vietnam as a chicken that lays golden egg, but the chicken is having a flu.
Right.
And a flu,
even better,
a flu is not permanent, but it's very uncomfortable, and it just lingers days and days, years and years.
There is one critical factor that tourism in Vietnam again is seen as tourism. It's not really seen yet. When we say spearhead industry, what does it mean? To make it a spearhead industry, the Ministry of Planning and Investment, Ministry of Construction, the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Labor, they all need to work together. They need to sit on the table together with the tourism authorities. It can't be the job of the VNAT or the Ministry of Culture, Sport and Tourism alone to develop tourism, because it's international and it doesn't stop at provincial level.
Although the industry itself is facing numerous difficulties, tourism companies are trying to make the most of the situation. The website iVivu, for example, has found success by working closely with more than 1,500 hotels and resorts in the country to offer the first online booking service with payment in Vietnamese. This is tapping the rising trend of more tourists relying on the internet to check and book tours. So booking a vacation in Vietnam is never that easy, cheap and secure. With just a few clicks, you can access full information of price, availability of hotels and resorts in all tourism spots across the country and start booking right away. This is just one move Vietnamese tour operators are making to enhance the quality of service and attract more tourists to Vietnam. Developing innovative products with unique experiences at a competitive price is another method tour operators are using to try and get tourists to part with their cash. Here at Exotissimo, a foreign-owned company with 20 years of experience in the market, customized tours encourage guests to venture away from the most popular tourist areas and get close to local traditions are selling well.
When people come in Vietnam, they want to see Halong Bay and the Mekong Delta to start. So after we have to create experience that bring customers say, okay, no, I'm not going to see all Vietnam in once. I'm going to do unique tour in Ba Be, Ha Giang, and see the north, and we will come back. And again, with a very good potential, we have the chance to have a country which is very, very diversified, north, center, and the south. It's 3 different countries, really. It's 3 different cultures, and this is really a chance we have.
Buffalo Tours, one of the leading domestic destination management companies, is well known for education and travel tours, ranging from service learning and cultural exchange to outdoor education and sightseeing. This has proved appealing even to those who have already visited Vietnam, thanks to the high ethical and professional standards and exclusive experiences.
We work very closely with local authority and local community. We assess all the project needs, and we build on sustainable program that can provide good skill for the local community, and it's a good way to present our country and culture to the tourists. And then when the tourists come over, they have a great time. They understand the local culture. There's a lot of local interaction and exchange. And for us, when we do provide good service, it's good for us to be a profitable business. It's good for the local community to have a sustainable income, and the client have a very meaningful experience while traveling with us.
Diverse tour packages also have to come with stable prices. As a result, companies have joined forces with their preferred suppliers to lower the cost of tours and even offer discounts to tourists.
We work, of course, with our suppliers and especially the hotels to maintain or even reduce our prices, because the tendency in the past year was to have the hotel increasing always prices. It was becoming a bad habit, and it was mainly because of the inflation issue. But now with the government policy to stabilize the dong, I think it's going to improve things.
The efforts of both domestic and foreign tour operators are having positive impacts, and the market in Vietnam is expected to become one of the fastest growing sectors in the future.
As you've seen in our report, tour packages are being tried by a lot of tour operators right now. How do you think about them?
I believe we have excellent tour operators in Vietnam. On the ground, we have international cooperation. There are very good examples of sustainable travel and tourism practices of tour operators. So overall, I can say we have great potential here. There are others who are still focusing on certain niche markets only and not very innovative, and they could improve their product portfolio. They need to rethink their strategy every year. Large state-owned companies have a different way of doing business. I would like to encourage the large state-owned tour operators in Vietnam to continue to have an approach of innovation, staff training, customer service. This is difficult to change sometimes in Vietnam. We have now some large companies in Vietnam, state-owned companies, who have signed up with international hotel operators. So they are having a lot of hotel properties, and they let them be managed by international hotel operators. So I think they understand that they need to focus on their product quality, on their innovation, on their staff training, on customer service, English language level, and so on. There were a lot of, traditionally, talking about Hanoi, a lot of small mom and pop, small coffee shop style of travel agents, tour operators. And if they are not able to provide consistent, safe and secure travel, they have to simply be eliminated from the market. And I think here the authorities have done a good job, can do an even better job. Strict implementation, control, supervision of tour operators. And it might hurt some businesses and some personal interest, but on the whole, Vietnam will benefit from a better product quality, from a more consistent. Our goal must be, as a destination and for a tourism expert in Vietnam, our goal must be to achieve a higher return of travelers coming back to Vietnam.
Let me get back to your metaphor about the tango dance, the 3-step forward and 2-step backward. In order for the tourism sector to get out of that effect, a lot of things that need to be done, from the national level down to the very bottom grassroots
level. Yes.
What do you think will be the main driving force to this change?
First of all, I would like to say that when we have 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, we still have 1 step forward. That's a progress. We are still progressing. There are laws which affect tourism. So let's develop an interministerial, a horizontal coordination, cooperation, a dialogue between different ministries involved. It's a Ministry of Public Security, it's a Ministry of Finance, it's a Ministry of Labor, Molisa, it is a Ministry of Culture, Sport, of Tourism, but not only. Sitting together, there are decisions which affect the tourism sector, and we can pass new decrees and we make new regulations, but if they are not coordinated and communicated well, we do 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, and it's a waste of resources. And this metaphor, it does not only apply for the tourism sector particularly. We can say we need to have a constructive dialogue, and I think Vietnam is on a good way to doing so. We have the Vietnam Business Forum. The businesses are very involved in supporting Vietnam in shaping sustainable policies.
Thank you very much for spending time with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we have just listened to Mr. Kai Marcus Skotter, a tourism expert on Vietnam's tourism. And up next, we'll learn about a Swedish success story in Vietnam in our Market Makers. It's been over 20 years since August Vingard, the Swedish CEO of UMA Design, first set foot in Vietnam. Ever since then, August has felt an affinity for the country, which has grown even stronger from the day he started his interior design and service company here 7 years ago. Having experienced difficulties starting the company from scratch, UMA has become one of the many success stories that we would like to share with you in Market Makers today.
He is passionate about design. He can turn an overgrown garden into a desirable living space. He loves to use Vietnamese materials for his designs. He has led UMA to become one of the leading interior decor and furniture design brands in Vietnam. He is August Vingard, the Swedish co-founder and president of UMA, a furniture design company.
As you know, design is a very important element in our business. We try to look into the customer and what they really need, but also the trends coming from different places. I mean, the fashion, it can come from the other furniture, it can come from Europe, it comes from US, it comes from Vietnam, it comes everywhere. So all these things together, we mix and then we create our own design. And that's what we can see that the customer like, that we have something for you can say the new middle class in Vietnam who like a little bit more color, a little bit more modern touch, but still demands a quality that fits to how it is in Vietnam.
Having worked his way up from an interior designer to a businessman at IKEA, the world's largest furniture retailer, August has an eye for interior decor and furniture. However, his experience in the market for high-end furniture in Vietnam that he first noticed 10 years ago were no guarantee of success. Back in 2006, when August finished working for IKEA, he decided to move to Vietnam, where he saw the opportunity to start a business. August began to look for a partner, but it was not as easy as he thought, and his first 2 partnerships fell through. And finally, he met his business soulmate.
Then I met Milan, and the first time we met was in a restaurant. And one of the first things she said was, because I asked her what do you do, and then she said, I'm a troubleshooter. I was thinking, troubleshooter, that's the problem who can solve a lot of problems. And I have a lot of visions. I know where to go. I can see the market, but I also I know it's a lot of problems coming. So of course, if you have a troubleshooter, somebody who wants to do things, that it's very good. So I could, already in the first sentence, I could feel this can be something interesting.
My first impression about August was that he was healthy, strong-willed, and he had a clear vision about where he wanted to take his business. He was so determined to realize his dream by staying in Vietnam after his work with IKEA was over. Those were the factors that made me think that he could contribute to the future success of our company.
August and Milan set up UMA Design Company with a 10,000-day plan in mind. Both of them realized that suppliers would decide the fate of the business. So for the first 3 years, they tested all the suppliers in Hanoi, but only a few were able to meet their demands.
One of the biggest problems we had in the beginning was to get the right quality of the products into our shops. Because in our way to start as a small buyer, we have to go to the small suppliers who sometimes didn't really understand the quality that we needed, or sometimes were not interested. So the quality was very volatile. It was very up and down, making it really, really hard.
The 10,000-day trial period came to an end, but August could still see the demand for interior furniture in Vietnam. He and his team have entered the next 10 years of development and expanded UMA Design into a chain of 7 furniture shops in both Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City.
I've known about UMA Design for several years now, since they started a small shop on Trần Huy Liệu Street in Hanoi. Currently, they own a chain of shops. UMA was hit the nail on the head when it comes to providing a service for aspiring Vietnamese consumers who have more disposable income. The items designed by UMA are Western style, modern, simple yet cozy, and eye-catching in the home.
For August, the keys to success are quite simple: understanding the taste of the Vietnamese middle class and creating special designs that can combine the Vietnamese materials and fashion trends from different areas. The company's development strategy is focused on the domestic retail market, and he's very proud to be making a contribution to the furniture design industry in Vietnam.
And the story of UMA chains in Vietnam wraps up our very first episode of BIZLINE. Thank you very much for watching, and we look forward to receiving your comments and feedbacks on anything you've seen on the show. please write to us at bizline@vtv.vn. From our team here in Hanoi, goodbye for now.